Hi there, I'm Elle McNicoll and I am the author of A Kind of Spark and Show Us Who You Are, my latest book, and I'm so happy that A Kind of Spark has been nominated for the Biblio Buzz Awards. So, I'm going to set an author challenge for you today. Now, if any of you have watched my writing tutorials on YouTube at Books and Chokers, you'll know that there's a lot of things I like to incorporate into my planning before I write my stories. This usually involves a lot of character work, usually involves a lot of planning, getting that beginning, middle and end synopsis plotted out properly. This is all available on YouTube. It also involves thinking about objectives, thinking about fear, thinking about wounds, all of these things. So I was thinking about which thing to use for an author challenge because I think all of those are very important. But I decided the one thing that is probably the most helpful thing to me, and it was certainly the most helpful thing to me when I was writing A Kind of Spark, was getting a good idea of, well, two things: setting, but also situation. So what I mean by that is when a story starts, traditionally, and this can be any kind of story, whether it's fantasy, contemporary like A Kind of Spark, or science fiction like Show Us Who You Are, or a mystery story, or a adventure story, whatever kind of genre you're writing in, this task usually, at least with me, helps to kind of ground the story in a strong foundation. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about where your story is set. So for example, A Kind of Spark, it is set in Juniper. Juniper is a small village in Scotland, and one thing that I found really helpful was drawing a map of the village, which I used when I was writing the book. So that's something you can do in addition to this task, is you can draw a map of your location. And what I would recommend is that you write a newspaper article, okay? A newspaper article about your community in the story. The inciting incident in your story has not happened yet. As of this moment, the newspaper article is about something else, something maybe mundane. There's a lot of mundane things going on in Juniper before Addie decides to campaign for her memorial. So I want you to think about where your character is from, where the story starts. It could be a village, it could be a city, it could be another planet, it doesn't matter. But I want you to imagine that something has happened in that setting and somebody's writing about it in some kind of local newspaper. It doesn't have to be a big exciting thing, although it would be great if it was. It just needs to be some kind of incident. So, for example, I wrote a lot of fake newspaper articles when I was getting ready to write A Kind of Spark, because one of the big plot points of A Kind of Spark is that there is a council in the village and they concern themselves about very trivial things and don't actually deal with a lot of important things. So I had articles written up for things like the geese being too overexcited in the park, the fact that there were too many teenagers lying around, the fact that the bank was too close to the bus stop, really boring, mundane things. And I wrote pretend articles from the point of view of one of the characters, and it really helped kind of establish this strange community and this strange location. So, for example, if we were in Cinderella, maybe someone's writing an article about the fact that Cinderella's father has died. Maybe they're writing an article about the fact that there's going to be a ball and everyone's invited, which is the inciting incident. Doesn't matter. Whatever's going on in your story, you can get a really great sense of location, setting, community, and a great groundwork for starting your story if you write an article. Or even if you don't feel like writing a newspaper article, if that's maybe too specific or too challenging, then maybe you could write a diary entry, either from the main character's perspective or another character's. Diary entries are really helpful too. They're especially helpful if you're wanting to get into a character's voice. So that is my author challenge as the author of A Kind of Spark, which is all about community and all about small problems in those communities. I would like you to write a newspaper article from the point of view of someone in the story, or a diary entry, either from the main character or another character. And this will really help you lay the groundwork for a really great story. Thank you so much. I hope you'll accept the challenge and enjoy. Bye.